Hello and welcome to the channel. We'll talk about all things card games and chill with friends. My name is Liam and today I want to share with you my Reine Marine deck profile. Now, if you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you enjoy this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out my other socials, links down in the description. And if you want to support the channel even further, please consider becoming a member and hitting that join button down below. But let's jump straight in. Now, in today's video, I want to share with you what I think is probably one of the, if not the best deck in the set 2 format in Hololive OCG English edition, and that is the Reine Marine profile. Now, I know with the Reine cards and how this deck works, there are other ways of building this. You could go mono Reine. You've got Reine Eofi, Reine Zeta. No, I haven't forgotten about it. Just because I missed it out on my tier list doesn't mean I've forgotten about the deck. At least until I was reminded about it. But I do want to make sure that I share this deck with you. And if you are interested in seeing the other Reine deck profiles, let me know in the description below. And I could do a separate video where I cover all 4 decks together and discuss the advantages and disadvantages of those decks, and I guess depending on your playstyle, which deck might suit you the best. If you want to see that, again, let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button, and yeah, I'd be happy to do that video for you for a Thursday at some point. But like I said, we are going to be going into this deck profile, and it is quite a complex one, so make sure you keep up. Starting off with the Oshi for this deck, and we actually run Kobo Kaneiru. It is the 6 life Oshi, well, one of the 6 life Oshis from set 1. And the reason we run this, we don't care about the Oshi skill, but we do care about the SP Oshi skill, where you can pay 3 to attach up to 5 cheers from your archive to across your ID holomems. And obviously we are running Reine, who is an ID Gen 2 holomem, and yeah, basically the SP skill is really good, and most importantly, this is a 6 life Oshi, so it does give you some extra flexibility in terms of how much you can take damage, and it just gives you that bit of longevity that sometimes Reine needs. Obviously, in other Reine builds, you do run different Oshis, but I would say that Kobo is perfect for this list. In terms of our cheer deck, now, the Reine deck is known as REINE-BOW, and that's because you are running color cheers from every color. You are starting off with 10 copies of the green cheer, then you have 4 copies red cheer, 2 copies of the blue cheer, 2 copies of the purple cheer, and 2 copies of the white cheer. Now, why are we running so many different colors of cheers? That will make sense when we come to our Reine level or second bloom combo. Moving on to our main deck, and we run 2 different holomems in this deck, and the first line we run is Reine. We run 7 copies of her unlimited debut. It is 100 HP, 30 damage for a colorless cheer, pretty standard for basically any of your unlimited debuts. It's the basic version, if you will, and we've said that before with Iris, for example. It's a debut and it's Reine, so of course we do run it. We run 1 copy of the collab effect Reine. On collab, you may send a cheer from your archive to any of your holomem, and there is no requirement on top of that. There's no die roll, there's no like it has to go to a certain type of holomem. It is just on collab, get a cheer from your archive and attach it to a holomem. It is rather good. The downside to it is that it is only a 60 HP holomem, and it has only got the 1 cheer art for 20 damage, which you aren't really going to be using this to attack. You are purely using this for your collab effect, and you would basically expect that if this does go out to the collab spot, it is likely to go down. But sometimes you want that. You want that extra cheer ramp, which you can afford to do because you are running this 6 life Oshi. This card is really, really good, but you don't really need 1. You could run more than 2 copies. You could go up to 2 copies if you really wanted to. I think 1 copy is more than fine. Moving on to our first blooms for Reine, we run 3 copies of her unlimited Daki. We've got 160 HP, so pretty good HP for a first bloom. And for 1 green, 1 colorless, it does 50 damage. Again, a decent output. In fact, it is a carbon copy of the ASCII start deck first bloom vanilla. It's just a really good card, and sometimes you need to be able to bloom into something that's a bit bigger, especially on your center stage, so that if it does take damage on the following turn, it isn't going down before you get into your second bloom. We also run 4 copies of the first bloom effect Reine, which on bloom, search your deck for a Tatang. Tatang is an extremely good mascot, which you'll see later on, which is actually on the Japanese restriction list, restricted to 1 copy. And it also does 40 plus damage for 1 green, 1 colorless, where if you have 2 or more different colored cheers on your stage, it gains an additional 20 damage, so 60 damage in total. 130 HP base. It's a really good card, and getting those Tatangs is really, really important for the longevity of your holomems. Also, we run 2 copies of the first bloom idol outfit at Reine. She is on bloom. You choose one of your holomem, and it heals 10 HP for every different color cheer on your stage. So with this deck currently, it could heal up to 50 on a first bloom, which is really, really good. And it has got a single 20 damage cheer for 1 colorless, which also lets you send 1 cheer from your archive to one of your holomems. So it's another great way of getting some cheer archive regain back, similar to the debut Reine. So you could technically collab with this, bloom into this Reine, and then also get 2 cheers back in 1 turn from your archive. So you can do some little combos here, which are kind of neat. But we just do run 2 copies of this because realistically, you want to, 1, make sure you see your Tatangs, and 2, you want to ensure that your first Reine does survive, so the higher HP is more important. And finally, of course, we run 4 copies of the second bloom Reine, 190 HP with the bloom effect on bloom. Send 1 cheer from your cheer deck to one of your holomems. It can be any color cheer to any holomem. That means you can basically fix the color. So if you've only got 2 or 3 colors on your stage in terms of your cheers, you can guarantee the 4th one just by playing this card from your hand when you bloom it. And its art, which is the important thing about this deck, it has 100 plus with an advantage to white for 1 green and 3 colors. So it is a big cheer attack, but it does an additional 20 damage for each different color cheer on your stage, not just attached to her, anywhere on your stage. So getting this holomem to be doing 180 or 200 damage is not the most difficult. On average, I reckon you do 160 to 180, but getting to the 200 mark on this is not that difficult, and that's what makes this deck so good. It's explosive power in terms of its damage, but not only that as well. Again, we'll come back to that limited card later for Tatang, which will basically show you that not only is it a fantastic offensive deck, it also is a pretty good defensive deck in that your Reine does get up to 220 HP, which when you're healing it down with your first idol is wild. Trying to 1-hit KO the Reine is extremely difficult. Moving into our second holomem line, we go Marine, and we run 4 copies of her debut. Again, 100 HP, 30 damage. It is basically exactly the same card as the Reine, it's just Marine. We run it because it's the only debut that's worth running in this deck. You could go into the collab effect Marine if you really, really wanted to. The only downside to that is that its HP is, I believe, at 70. So it's 30 HP less, which means that if you do bring this card out, the chance of it getting KO'd is significantly higher, which is why we prefer to run an 100 HP debut, just to ensure that it survives to go into our first bloom. Talking of our first bloom, we run 4 copies of the Hosho's Pirate Crew Bloom Effect Marine, 130 HP, and then on bloom, you may search your deck for a Hosho Marine, reveal it, and add it to your hand. But you can only use this bloom effect once per turn, so you cannot play multiple of these and get the bloom effect for all of them. You only get it for the first one. So you do sort of ramp this quite slowly, but the fact that it gets you any Marine that you need is absolutely huge. Whether you need an extra debut to start doing a second Marine holomem on your stage, or whether you go into another copy itself, basically stack an extra Marine onto your Marine on stage, basically because you realistically need 3 holomem underneath your second to get its maximum potential. Or when you eventually want to go into your second, if you haven't found it already, this card just lets you grab it, and it's really, really good. It also does 50 HP for 2 colorless cheer, which is great because we haven't got to rely on the red at least until second bloom. Talking of second bloom, we run 3 copies of the second bloom Hololive Marine. On bloom, you may go to your archive and return a holomem from your archive to your hand. Pretty straightforward, really, really good for cycling your Reines or your Marines if you need to. And then if it has 3 or more holomems stacked underneath it, you can also deal 50 damage to either your opponent's center or collab holomem. So it's a nice little bit of extra damage output. This is your secondary attack for sure. And you basically set this up in the back row whilst Reine does Reine things. And then when it comes to your end turn, you ultimately explode out with Marine and finish the game. She also has a really good art for 1 red and 2 colorless cheer, with an advantage to purple with 80 plus, where it gains an additional 20 damage for each holomem stacked underneath it. So in the ideal world, if you are going into 1 debut, into 2 of your first, and then into a second, or potentially a first into a second into another second, you are going to be doing 140 damage or 190 damage versus purple decks. And ironically, that's really, really useful because this deck's biggest nemesis, in my opinion, right now is Shion, and that is a purple deck, and that is going to be the next deck that I cover on this video, on this pro channel next week. So yeah, the fact that Marine can deal with that matchup of the Shion is huge. So it's very, very important to be able to deal with that. But yeah, we run 3 copies of that, and it's a great second finisher. And those are the holomems. In total, we run 12 debuts. We run a quick maths, 13 firsts and 7 seconds. But those are your holomems. Let's go into the supports. As usual, starting with our limited support cards, we of course run 4 copies of How to Stack Exotica, draw 3 cards. It's one of the best draw engines, if not the best draw engine in the game. We are running 4 copies. We also run 3 copies of Mikorone, draw 2, then roll a die. If you roll a 3, 5, or 6, you may search your deck for a debut and add it to hand. If you roll a 2 or 4, draw a card. If you roll a 1, tough, you missed. This card is really, really good. Again, you are running 2 different debut holomems, and you have got the obviously one of in the Reine as well. So sometimes being able to just grab the debut holomem that you're missing is really, really good. And if worst comes to worst, as long as you don't roll a 1, if you don't hit the debut ad, you just draw an additional card, and basically it becomes another copy of Nautica. This card is really, really great. I was tempted to put this to 4 and put Nautica to 3, but sometimes I think in this deck especially, just having the natural draw guaranteed is better overall. But I think Mikorone absolutely has its space and is therefore copies at 3. We also run 3 copies of Idol's Autograph Pen. You must have 6 or less cards in your hand, excluding this card, to play this. And then you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and reveal any number of painting tag holomems amongst those, add them to your hand, and then put the rest at the bottom of your deck. It's the gravity event, and this works in this deck because Marine, which people don't realize, has the painting tag. She is an artist. So the fact that Reine and Marine are both with the painting tag, this card is great. So as long as you hit a holomem, this card is amazing. And you're not running the highest amount of support cards, so you absolutely get away with running this. And 9 times out of 10, you're at least +2, potentially +3. This card is really, really good for this deck, and we run it at 3 of. Our final limited, we run 1 copy of So That Makes You My Enemy. Again, it's one of those control cards that randomly can just win you a game, so it's absolutely worth having. And yeah, again, if those don't know what it does, it lets you swap your opponent's center holomem with one of their back holomem. It's a boss's orders from Pokemon. Very, very good card. Moving on to our non-limited, we run 2 different non-limited. The first one, we run 4 copies of normal PC. Again, having access to the correct debut when you need it is really, really important. So again, we run 4 copies of that to ensure that we do that as quickly as possible. And we run 3 copies of Tatang. This is the mascot that got restricted in Japanese to 1 copy. And whilst we can, we are going to run it at 3. Tatang, as long as it is the holomem that this mascot is attached to, it deals an additional 10 damage with its arts. And then if this is attached to a Reine, it gains 30 HP. That doesn't check the bloom level. It is just if Reine plus 30 HP. This card is cracked. This card is so good. It makes your Reine 220 HP with a maximum damage output for now of 210. Come set 3, when you have access to yellow cheers, the actual damage output is increased all the way to 230 because of the Tang. It basically makes it so that Reine is in most matchups out of reach of one-shot KOs, which is really massive. Most decks, realistically, most seconds, you are aiming to get 140 to 180 damage off in one attack. It's unlikely to get above that, and there are some cards where you have to make additional plays in order to scale that 220 HP max HP. Yeah, this card is really good, and it really supports the second Reine, and that is the entire deck. What do you think? And would you make any changes to this deck profile? Let me know in the comments below. And most importantly as well, do you think this is the best Reine deck? Or do you think the Reine Eofi or Reine Zeta or Mono Reine are better? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see the other deck profiles in another list, in another video combined, again, just let me know. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out my other socials, links down in the description, and if you want to support the channel even further, please consider becoming a member and hitting that join button down below. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!